Good morning, everybody. I hope this video finds you well. Today, I want to talk about a theme which I've been doing for some time, which is watching America from the outside. Obviously, this is an America-centric video, but the point that I want to make is that when you're sitting inside of the midst of something, you're in the middle of the forest and you see the forest all around you. You don't know the big picture. You don't realize how fucked up this forest is. You got to step outside the forest and watch what's going on. Then you see the bigger picture. It's a good analogy and it pertains to a lot of things, but man, oh man, does it pertain to the United States today. And I'm making this video here one day after the Supreme Court decisions that are being handed down. And of course, Roe versus Wade was upended, and another untouchable march of American liberalism, which isn't really liberal at all. It's progressivism. Two of these major planks were just torn from asunder, and that was the Second Amendment. And of course, you've got the progressives there rioting, as progressives always do. And they're just fingers for oligarchs. Let me explain to some non-Americans why these are important. First of all is the Second Amendment. There's been the Second Amendment, as it was written, was absolute. Everybody can own a gun for whatever purposes whatsoever. And when it was when it was first written, you could buy a cannon, you could buy a suit of armor, you could buy anything, and then it stayed in place through World War I. You could buy a tank. You could buy a biplane with a machine gun. You could carry machine guns. You could buy anything. Nobody would say anything. And then Congress decided to regulate the Second Amendment. This was when the progressives took control of the United States early on in the last century. And the progressives have been systematically rewriting the American Constitution to suit their ideas of utopia. And one of them is you disarm all Americans, and you do it incrementally, because, you know, it's kind of hard to get around the words that says you have the right to own a gun. It's really kind of hard to get around changing that meaning. Now, the way the system is supposed to work is you say, okay, I don't like that amendment. So all the states get together, and they have something called the Constitutional Convention, and they remove the amendment. But that would never happen. So the progressives decided, well, what we're going to do is we are going to do it incrementally, and we're going to start putting limitations. And for the last fucking goddamn 100 years, that's all they've been doing, is just one law after the other. It's just like a machine gun. Law, 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 law. Some stick, many don't. And then they build laws upon the laws, build the laws upon the laws, and you get this situation. As an American, I believed in the Bill of Rights and all that. And now as I step out, I see that it's just a big curtain. It's just a big ball of bullshit. But at the time, as an American, I really believed all this stuff, and I followed it closely, read the arguments that were being used to get rid of the Second Amendment, and saw them for what they were. Now, you could be pro-gun or anti-gun. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about process. Process. The United States has a process. If there's an amendment that you don't like, there's a process to get rid of it. Okay, it's called the Constitutional Convention. They realized that the progressives did not have a massive majority inside the United States. They did not have the power base to erase complete amendments, and they still don't. So the only way that they, a tiny percentage, a minority, can implement their vision of utopia is to do it surreptitiously, and that's what they've been doing. So what they did is there was a law. A lot of states and local governments have been passing these laws, and basically the law says, if you want to carry a gun, you have to get permission first. And that's the basis of the law. And then they say, well, it can be concealed carry, or it can be open carry, and it can be all this. And they tack on and confuse everything. But basically, it's permission to carry a gun. The Supreme Court ruled that you don't need permission to carry a gun, period. And that, of course, has all the progressives all up in arms. It's going to change a lot of rules, kind of going to change a lot of things. And the progressives' argument, of course, is that, well, look at all the stats, look at all the shootings, look at all the killings, blah, 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 blah. It's the let's attack the symptoms instead of the causes, where the conservative side says, let's just stick to what it says. If you go into a dangerous area unarmed, you're at risk. If you go armed, you have an equal chance of fighting, and that's the way it plays out. I'm in China, it's safe, nobody has guns. Well, excuse me. Everybody's trained to use guns. All communities have armories, and everybody goes yearly to use those guns, but you don't carry them like you do in the United States. Totally different mindset. It's like comparing cookies to pineapples. But they released this gun ownership ruling at the same time that they released the Roe versus Wade, which is supposed to be the big litmus test for progressive liberalism. Now, Roe versus Wade, and you'll hear all kinds of other people talking about it, I'm just going to talk really basic. Again, the Constitution, the whole point behind the conservative versus the progressive infighting in the United States is that the progressive is, we can build a utopia, and I have this vision of this utopia that we're going to build, where the conservatives say, let's stick to traditional values, let's word them carefully, and don't hack at it. Well, again, it's the issue. The progressives don't have the numbers to go through the system to change things. They don't have the numbers. They're working on trying to get those numbers. They're trying to manipulate people to get those numbers, but they don't have those numbers. And they did Roe versus Wade, and people saying, "Oh no, you're going to ban abortions and all kinds of stuff." That's, what is that term? Gaslighting? It's projecting. Roe versus Wade ruling does not say that. What the ruling says is very simple. It's a state issue. The state determines how to implement whether or not you have an abortion, whether you can have a child or how you have a child. That's all done by the states, not by the federal government. And the justification for why the federal government made it federal-wide, way back when Roe versus Wade was first written was very, very weak, taking away what states had as a right and giving it to making it mandatory for the federal government. That was a very weak argument. So, anyways, I really don't want to get too involved in the stupid American politics. I don't give a rat's ass either way. I'm not in America. But I'm sitting out here and I'm watching it. What's going to happen is you're going to have places like Arkansas and Alabama saying you can't have any abortions, and places like New York, Connecticut, and California and Seattle saying abortions on demand, immediate, for free. Just come on in, we'll give you an abortion. You're going to have, and all over the spectrum. That's the result of this ruling. You'll have a choice depending upon your religious and personal convictions. And if other people don't like it, tough titties, you move to another state. That's the way it works. And for the gun stuff, the Second Amendment stuff about the guns, that's an absolute. Doesn't matter what state you're in. You have the right to carry. Nobody can take that away from you unless you are a felon. Felons, like I said in my other writing, is that there's America is not a system of upward mobility, but rather it's a class system, and there's 9 classes, and being a felon is 8. So you're the 8th tier, and the sex offender is the 9th tier. Actually, there's a 10th tier, which is the non-citizens. But so, anyways, yeah. So basically, it's a federal-wide decision. Now, all this being said, it's just all kind of stupid and crazy. It doesn't really concern me. I know if you're an American, you're probably all upset that I would say something like that, but it's true. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't. I'm watching TikTok. Okay, I call it TikTok, but it's really Douyin. Douyin is the parent company that birthed the American version of TikTok. The American version of TikTok is a greatly functionally depleted version. It's a generic version of Douyin for international consumption. In order to have it run in the United States, there was a lot of rules that had to be implemented and systems that had to be implemented. And one of that is that a lot of federal government agents are present in the operational segment of TikTok, and traffic is heavily monitored and censored, obviously. So I'm watching these riots. Hal Turner showed pictures of bricks. Some organization placed a bunch of bricks on pallets outside of the justice halls that made the decisions, preparing the groundwork for riots so that they could start throwing bricks. And sure as shit, the progressives came out of the woodwork wearing black, having black umbrellas, started throwing bricks and fire bombs and shouting their slogans and all this other kind of stuff. Demanding that they take things back and change things the way they were. This is not their American nonsense. I'm going to tell you something, people. If you don't like America, you can leave. Actually, you can try to change it, or you can leave. And if you try to change it, you use the systems that are in place. Now, of course, the United States is too corrupted that you can't use the systems. That's okay. That's another subject for another time. So let me get, after this big introduction, let me get back to the basics. So I'm watching this on TikTok. Douyin, which is your version of TikTok, and I'm watching these videos. It's not flooding my channel, by the way. I've subscribed to a couple of channels, and one of the channels had all these videos, and it wasn't an inundation either. It was maybe 8. I'm watching them. It's like, you know, it's more of America bullshit. Riots in Seattle, looting in Los Angeles, riots in Chicago, riots in Washington, D.C. After a while, you just turn it off. I know. America is tent cities and unemployed. I know. America's skyrocketing inflation. I know. And they're telling all the Americans that it's global inflation. No, it is not global inflation. It's inflation attached to misuse of a United States dollar. If you use the United States dollar, you will get inflation. If you don't use the United States dollar, you don't get any inflation. Duh. The way that you can tell a nation and what their economy is like, see the use of the US dollar. Now, when Russia was banned from using the United States dollar and all its assets were seized and sanctions from hell hit, you know what the inflation in Russia is? Negative. You know what the inflation in China? Very, very small. Because China controls how the US dollar is used. That's the way it works. So, and I'm watching this stuff, and it's a little late last night when I'm doing it. My immediate thoughts were, you're gonna get angry. I'm gonna tell you what my immediate thoughts were. I don't give a rat's ass. Fucking burn for all I care. I know it sounds terrible. That's my immediate reaction. More fun and games. Have a protest, destroy some buildings. Demand your rights, demand freedom. Jesus, it's like there's some kind of nonsensical song and dance that puppets play all the time. Really. You know, this kind of rioting has become institutionalized. It's a song and dance. It means nothing. There won't be any massive movements or changes or anything. It's just a galvanization of the personal armies for various politicalized interests in the United States. They don't mean jack shit. It's just a song and dance puppet show. Some buildings will be burnt down. Billions of dollars will be funded to rebuild them. The progressives will go away and plot their other complaints, and that will be it. The news cycle will switch to something else. And as I'm watching this, it's just become so crystal clear. Nothing gets done. It's just a big song and dance. Now, pose that to China. China, you've got experts who've been sitting there. They get to their positions through hard work, volunteerism for free, merit, and when they're at the top of their peak, that's when they get to make decisions, and they make them, and then they're codified, and it happens, and it's like this. And that's why China is so fucking amazing. But the United States, man, you just look at this fucking fiasco. It's just a fucking fiasco. And I'm watching it. I'm like, more fiasco song and dance. You want to know, and you want to know the thought that came in my mind? Junkyard pit bulls fighting over a dead rat. That's the image that came to my mind when I'm watching this. Go ahead. Watch the movies. Watch the videos of the rioting and stuff. Junkyard pit bulls fighting over a dead rat. The United States is fucked. There was Kim.com. Like him, hate him, whatever. But if you just look at the numbers, and you just look at the numbers. He used numbers using the debt clocks. If the United States sold everything that it owns and everything its population owns, sold them all off to Jupiter, the United States would still be trillions of dollars in debt. It's a dead corpse walking. No shit. And the only thing that's keeping it alive is hope and a belief that somehow the ruling powers of the United States can turn things around. Now, you seen the ruling powers? Have you seen the leadership of the United States? Do you think they're going to be able to do anything as they're wearing their life vests and parachutes when they sit in front of their teleprompters? Some people speculate that these current sets of riots are going to start the end and demise of the United States. No, the end of the demise of the United States began in 1886. Actually, earlier than that, it was 1782 or something like that. The demise of the United States. It's just been a long, slow collapse. The American experiment has failed, and it failed flatly. Nobody's going to base their economies, their governance on the American model. Those that have it right now are going to start trying to change them. The only ones that think it's so great are the proxy nations, which are just hand puppets. They're sock puppets. They're sock puppets for the United States government. That includes Australia. That's a big duh if I ever heard one. Korea, which is a sad duh. But you Korean man, you're Korean. You hit your horse. You saddle up to the United States, you're going to be galloping to the sunset, boy. It'll be a cold bowl of chili when United States love lets you down. But Japan, if you think that you're going to be able to rise from the ashes of the United States and become a major power, that's a potential. That's potential. Strong potential. But if you think that you're going to do so militarily to the exclusion of the economy, then you've got another thing coming. Japan has the potential to become an economic superpower once again. I would recommend you follow that course. If you go ahead and try to follow the United States model that they're pushing and becoming a military power, you will become eviscerated. You're just an island nation. Island nations like the UK, Hong Kong, Singapore, Taiwan, Japan, Australia. Oh, Australia is more than an island nation. Australia is an island country. Forget about that one. Perhaps Karobi, Guam. very, very vulnerable. Small, and you get your food from the outside. When I lived in Pago Pago in American Samoa, a head of lettuce cost $11 at a time when you could buy a head of lettuce in the United States for 25 cents. Give you an idea of the price discrepancy. Nations are believing the American bullshit of this unipolar world order. The big news that happened over the last couple of weeks is the gradual realization that the unipolar world order, or the American-led Western world order, is over. It's shuttered and it's can't be resuscitated. You can't put it on life support. There's no CPR or electroshock therapy that you can give it. It's done. It's toast. Meanwhile, the multipolar order is coming into fray, and it is going to rock your socks in a positive way. They don't want to hurt anybody. They just want to make good products and sell them to you at reasonable prices. And if you don't like that, you don't have to buy them. Okay? It's totally different than the United States, which is, you will obey us, you will serve us. You don't like it, we will kill you. And there's totally two different mindsets. Here's the United States. You will obey us. You will do as we say. You will serve us. And if you refuse to, we will eviscerate you. We got 6,000 nuclear bombs. We could turn you into a radioactive cinder block. That's the United States for you. Who thinks like this? People who are on drugs. Lots of drugs. And all their life were blue bloods. The rest of the world's like, oh, fuck you. We're not going to deal with you. Go away. And they got the power and the strength to do it. I don't think you guys have any idea how powerful BRICS is. Russia is doing the United States is promoting it as a war. People, if you fought a war with Russia, you would know it's a war. It's not a war. It's a police action. America's police action is, well, we're just going to fly some helicopters and go blinking at these people, killing a couple of sheep herders, and blowing up some cabbage patches. So American mercenaries go chomping on into the Ukraine and get fucking slaughtered, captured, and then killed. Don't know what you're dealing with. And that's the Christian nation. That's Russia. You don't want to fucking deal with China. China will fucking... I've said this before. You just don't have any idea. Nice people. Don't want to fuck with them, though. Don't want to fuck with them, though. So, I just wanted to make this little video expressing the strange feelings and emotions that I got after watching the riots in the United States. What was my emotion? Two junkyard pit bulls. You know, pit bulls. These armored tank dogs. Scruffy looking. Fighting over a dead rat in this junkyard. That's the impression I got from these these riots in the United States. That's my impression. Two junkyard pit bulls fighting over a dead rat. It's all downhill from here for the United States. Hope you're all ready. Oh, I don't mean as far as these political rulings. I just mean I'm just watching the decay of the empire. Certainly, Nero played his fucking violin as Rome burned. Caesar had his sex orgies in his palace, while most of the Rome was looted and fell apart, and that's what's going on in the United States right now in real time. Doesn't concern me. It shouldn't concern you guys, no matter how often it's being promoted or what these talking heads may talk about. It's just bullshit. Song and dance for the ignorant masses. As Caesar used to say, hand them some more loaves of bread. Quiet the mobs down. Or as Marie Antoinette would say, give them a piece of cake. Just let them eat cake if they're starving. America today, a fucking dogfight in a junkyard. And with that, people, hope you're all doing well. Take care of your life, take care of each other, be good, help other people. And with this, just remember, man, I believe in you. I do. I really believe in you. You'll be fine.
水墨连起绵延的画卷，新时代的脚印把祖国各地全部都踏遍。不管是隔着天险，还是在海的那面，把关怀送到每张普世少年身边，把天山的训练都带到昆仑山。我要把江南的春风都带到玉门关，是几经狂魔，用几经强国，有几点的底气，自然能气势磅礴。仰天长啸，烛火激烈，萧瑟秋风换了人间。昨日30功名成玉兔，男儿虚度车书。关关雎鸠，在河之洲。有词会是远望西楼洲，剪不断的理还能都是离愁。人是一番滋味在心头。看山红遍，跟着我念字正腔圆，平山如曲，谱一起相约。情歌弹唱风月，朗朗书声洒在窗前，谁家的诗篇传颂了千年。俗话说好事多磨，岁月没蹉跎，因为身负使命，所以我得小心斟酌。情绪越喷薄，越得精雕细琢，每一步的规划都值得仔细琢磨。开战阔，就从来不用3尺的剑，外界来朝是关心苍生的初心没变。被我超越的朋友，你慢你现在给我道个歉，用8支相连的剑，让世界全都看得见。仰天长啸，烛火激烈，萧瑟秋风换了人间。昨日30功名成玉兔，男儿虚度车书。关关雎鸠，在河之洲，言辞会是远望西楼洲，剪不断的理还能都是离愁。人是一番滋味在心头。山红遍，跟着我念字正腔圆，平山如曲，谱一起相约。情歌弹唱风月，朗朗书声洒在窗前，谁家的诗篇传颂了千年。想看到万象，看满鲜花，哪有那么轻易？5000年的文化底蕴最锋利的兵器，他们字正腔圆，心怀敬意，学起京剧。我要让世界看到内心咬着牙的经历。你的关心让我不再是那昨天的我就要当着你的面打破那卡脖子的锁。看的是漫山遍野意气风发，一朝素过，燃的是一碗血肉铸成中华文明的火。
叶子会是月满西楼，为情深者可以丝丝刻